Guten gardening, everybody. We are live. Welcome. I see a whole bunch of people already talking and conversing in the chat. It is fantastic to see everybody here. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, let us know your grow zone in the chat. It's one of the things we start with. Not that the grow zone determines everything, but it's nice to know where everybody is from. And we're all at different parts of the winter season here in the cooler grow zones. And so we'd like to know what you're doing in your grow zone and where you're located. So go ahead and list that in the comments in the chat. And if you haven't already done so, let's get a thumbs up on this live stream. It's going to be a fantastic live stream tonight. We're going to get to talk about your gardens, those of you who shared some photos with us of your indoor setups, maybe get a little bit of garden inspiration. I can tell you, in looking over the pictures that people sent me, there was some definite inspiration, some ideas of things that we're going to attempt this season that came from what you shared with us. And I'm looking over here. I see zone 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. We are all over the place in terms of grow zones. And that's one of the things we love about our community. It's pretty wide reaching. So keep posting those grow zones over there. If you don't know your grow zone, you can look it up pretty quickly. One of the things that I noticed in the chat before this live even started is people were talking about the expectation of snow and how much they were looking forward to talking about plants and greenery and all the things that make us think not of the winter. Well, here in Zone 5, Wisconsin, and I think there are some other people here from Wisconsin in the chat, you can confirm we haven't had very much snow at all. And, well, there's the part of me that knows that we need snow to then melt and all of that. There's another part of me that says, driving in snow is not that great. But what we have had plenty of is really cold weather. Tonight it's supposed to get down to -3 Fahrenheit, which I looked it up. It's about -19 Celsius. So, yeah, I don't love that. I don't love that so much. But we've got some Zone 7, Hagerstown in Western Maryland. Crockett says, well, we can have their snow. I heard that there are people coming in with 6 or 7 inches come tomorrow, the next day of snow. There's a whole bunch of that going on. And this person's from Beloit, Wisconsin. Says it's going to be really cold, but no snow. I know. I just looked at a 10-day forecast, and I saw no snow. But I can still see lots of grass outside, so that's going on right now. Well, tonight is a special night. As I said, we are going to be giving away a new GreenStalk seed starter kit. This is one of the pieces that comes with the seed starter kit. If you saw the video, which hopefully all of you did, the video where I did a review of this, it's a really nice kit. And so we're going to be doing that as well as a couple other things throughout the evening. But I want to go ahead and take care of a little bit of business that I need to from last time around. You see, when we did our last live stream, we also did a let's take a look at your garden, your outdoor garden. And that was great. And then I got some photos from folks after that time. And I really wanted to include them as well, because if somebody's willing to share with us, we'd love to share with you. So tonight, you're going to see a bunch of indoor garden setup, pictures, etc. And before that, you're going to see some stuff from the summertime. And maybe that might make you a little bit, well, even more jealous. I don't know. But our primary purpose tonight is definitely to showcase your gardens, our community's indoor gardens. Now, I already have the link here, but if you haven't filled out the form online, I just posted it one more time in the chat, the form to enter. Right now, we have 85 people entered in, 85 names on the wheel of names. And so you're going to definitely need to get your form filled out if you haven't already. Again, one per family, but if you haven't already filled it out, make sure you do. Use my comment that I just posted in the comments right here. That's the link to the form. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already. And we're going to go ahead and get started by showing you one of our previous winners. Emily is one of our GreenStalk winners from our previous GreenStalk giveaway, and she shared some photos of her planting. So congratulations to Emily. Emily, if you're on the chat tonight, thank you so much for being a part of our community, for being one of the people who won a GreenStalk vertical garden from us. Any of you who have won something from us in the past, whether it's a GreenStalk or one of the tools, if you'd ever like to send us photos and update us, we absolutely would love to see that from you. I'd love to see how those things that we're able to give to the community are benefiting them. And this is a really great example. So thank you again, Emily, for sharing that with us. We really appreciate that. That was so much fun to see those photos come in. Excellent. Yes, I would agree with what Tim just said. Congrats, Emily. Thank you so much for being a part of our community. Tonight, we are going to be, at some point in this live stream, giving away this GreenStalk Seed Starter Kit. It's a brand new item from GreenStalk, just coming out. In fact, people who have pre-ordered it are just now getting their GreenStalk Seed Starter Kits. It's a really fantastic setup. Again, if you want to see even more detail than what I provide tonight, check out our review video. I think it's going to make a lot of sense to you once you see this in place. This is the set of four of the kits there. It's an absolutely fantastic setup for many reasons, and we'll get to that a little bit later on, but I like those pictures. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the summertime photos that people shared with us. And when we talk about these summertime photos, there's a couple of noticings that I had, and I definitely love the idea of those fond, warm memories. Twyla in Zone 7A, Maryland, sent us this photo. And if you take a look at the photo, you'll notice, of course, a beautiful GreenStalk here. That's wonderful. But wrapped around the entirety of the GreenStalk is this massive tomato. And this was not a tomato plant that was actually planted beside the GreenStalk. Twyla says, earlier in the season, I noticed a volunteer tomato plant in another area and moved it to my enclosed garden. And so it was not initially planted there. It was a volunteer. So free food. I've never had a tomato plant to take over like this one. You can see it even went to the other side of the GreenStalk. And from this photo, now this is months ago, but I picked the first tomato this evening. And how many are produced by this one plant? And one of the things we know about one of the things we know about tomatoes, you plant it once, in all likelihood, you don't have to plant it again because they will keep coming back if even one tomato drops down. But sometimes those volunteer tomatoes are so prolific. Hey, I'm going to get to this question here toward the end. Crockett asked, does the seed tray have a humidity dome? I'm actually going to get to the answer to that question toward the end because I reached out to GreenStalk to ask them a couple of questions, and that's one of the questions that they answered. And so I will get back to you on that in a little bit. But anyway, we're going to go continue on, but thank you for sharing that, Twyla. We really appreciate it. And Charlie in Zone 7B, New York, shared some really cool photos with us from their community garden, FBGA, at Floyd Bennett Field. Now, this is, as for Charlie, I have to say, you had such a nice range here, and I learned a few things that I didn't know just from these photos. But here are a couple of the harvested items. We have a purple Galaxy tomato. Look at how beautiful and dark purple those tomatoes are. And the pineapple tomato, that is a massive tomato. I absolutely love those. Fantastic tomatoes. You know, I consider tomatoes to be garden candy. They're just so much fun. I don't have a harvest video when my tomatoes are ripe where I'm not out there taking a bite of that garden candy. But doesn't that look delicious? And the pineapple, I mean, I've said this in previous videos, but yellow and orange tomatoes. There's something about yellow and orange tomatoes that I absolutely love. They're beyond anything else for me. They're my favorites. And then he shared that this is some milkweed that they planted. And he's the head of the Spotted Lanternfly Committee. That's fantastic. But this is two different pictures of monarch caterpillars in different instar stages. And I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here, but I believe that there are 5 stages instar stages for caterpillar development. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know. I was researching a little bit about this. We've done my kids have done the thing where they find the eggs, and then they end up hatching, and then keeping the monarch butterflies and letting them go eventually. But I didn't really understand fully the different stages until I researched this because of these photos. But if you look closely underneath the leaves here, what do you see? Let us know in the chat. What do you see under the leaves here, right by the caterpillar? They're all over. I think you probably know what they are. If you get them in your indoor garden, it's no fun. Let us know in the chat. What are you seeing underneath there? They're not the monarch eggs. That's a really good thought. I can see why you would think that. Unfortunately, they are not. They are definitely what I'm seeing in the chat right now. These are aphids. Lots and lots of aphids in here. But interestingly, these oleander aphids were all over the milkweed. But you see this little guy right here, that ladybug larva. One of the things, I think these are like the most alien looking insects for whatever reason. But the ladybug larva is going to come along and just go to town. We've done some videos with the ladybug larva. We've done some videos with the ladybugs in general. We absolutely love them. They are super helpful in our indoor garden as well as the outdoor garden. But yeah, the milkweed, I mean, the aphids love milkweed. And they, when you see it, when you look at the underside, I think more often than not, we see aphids all over the place. But when you got ladybugs around, I think you'll be just fine. Yeah, absolutely. And the ladybug larvae are, I mean, I recorded footage of them eating the aphids. It is a sight to behold. They are quick and they are hungry. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to go back. Charlie, thank you so much for sharing those photos. They're absolutely fantastic. And if you're here, Charlie, everyone can say thank you to Charlie. I'd really appreciate it. I love the fact that, again, you're sharing things that are not just indoor, but I'm seeing all of these different elements or aspects of gardening that we all get to deal with, sometimes positively, sometimes challengingly, but I love the monarch butterflies. They're absolutely wonderful. Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna highlight this comment that I just saw from Blue Wolf. I believe they eat more than the adults as well. That's my understanding. In researching that a little bit, I think that the larvae eat more than the adults. And again, it's just super fast, super aggressive, and they're very, very hungry. Now, I have a feeling when you see Diane's photos, there's going to be a part of you that gets a little bit, I'm not going to say envious, because I don't think that's the right word. You're going to feel motivated to get to this point, I think. Here's what Diane says. I can't eat gluten. That's what really started my garden and canning journey. Every year is always so different. Some things do great and others don't. Tell me you haven't been there before. But I love gardening. It makes me happy, and it's my happy place. There's so much to be said about everything that you said there. And the reality of gardening is you think you've mastered something, and then all of a sudden it fails. But let's take a look at some of what Diane grew this past season. Just take a look at each of these pictures. We've got 8 photos here. You can see the potatoes. This reminds me a ton of our longest potato bed, the one we grew 15 varieties in this year. But take a look at the size and the quantity of these potatoes. Beautiful bell peppers, the massive variety of what looks to me to be beets. I'm not sure if there are any turnips in there or not. Pumpkin, eggplant, and you went to town with this garlic. Look at all the garlic here. That is so phenomenal. Some beautiful hardneck garlic. I love it. And we didn't stop there. I should have asked what gourd this is. I know you might know in the chat, we haven't really spent too much time growing these longer varieties like this, but you can see the trellising here, the cattle panel. That's really great for this type of gourd, this type of squash here as well. Beautiful sunflowers. I'm telling you, you haven't even seen the half. You haven't even seen the half of these photos. Beautiful strawberries. Tell me how many of these strawberries would make it into your house. Just think about that. That's the hard part about picking strawberries. My favorite photo, and there's a lot of photos here that I really like that she shared with me. My favorite photo here is this one. For some reason, in the upper right-hand corner, as I look at this, it makes you just want to be there. It's something about the clouds, the trees. To me, this is something you could put on a postcard and send to somebody and make them want to come live there. You see the different setups here. Really nice, creative, taking advantage. Yes, Diane, these are your picks, and I absolutely fantastic pictures. So Diane, what is the type of squash there? I didn't see your response there. What is the type of squash that we were looking at? I saw some suggestions like snake and some other suggestions, but let us know what type of squash. If I see it in the gourd, if I see it, I'll pull it up in the chat there. Some more beautiful flowers, pollinators, sunflowers. But check this next photo out. Look at the beds, the way they're designed, the amount of space, the trellising. I love this type of trellising. I think it just makes perfect sense. And if you think about it, the length of these trellises, which I think these are cattle panel as well. I could be wrong, but it's perfect. It's a perfect setup because they're not going to go bad. A couple of our longer beds like this, we put some 2x4s in and then some fencing along there, but it makes perfect sense to me to use what look like these T-posts here. I'm going to use the T-posts instead. I think that way they don't go bad. The wood itself could tend to rot, but this will last longer. This is absolutely fabulous. And of course, it all leads to this. Diane says one is Aquino and the other is, I can't remember. That happens to me all the time. And yeah, those are cattle panel. That's what I thought. I love the setup. But yeah, this all, of course, leads us to an amazing bounty indoors. And this is one of my favorite feelings when I've brought a whole bunch of food inside. Yeah, there's still work to be done, but unbelievable, beautiful harvest. And here's where you get a little bit motivated. This was the backdrop of that initial slide, but take a look at this canning area. Oh my. I mean, I'm almost speechless at this. I like how you have an area where you can just write the names and that changes. It almost looks like you've put the that blackboard paint down. I don't know if that's the case. Excuse me, if you're using chalk or what have you to write down what's canned in each area. But this is absolutely wonderful. You are prepared for the future for sure. I appreciate the amount of work that went into this. It's absolutely beautiful. Well done. And thank you so much for sharing. Folks, if you are inspired by Diane's photos, please thank Diane for sharing them. Tell her congratulations, whatever you got to do, because I am impressed. And yes, I was right. It is chalkboard paint. That stuff is so cool. The way you have this set up, so well laid out, incredibly motivating. We could all wish to get to this point in what you've done. That is so fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure we all appreciate that. Now, the next photo comes through. It's one photo. It comes to us from Natalie. And this actually is a part of a conversation that we had during our last live stream. And during that last live stream, someone brought up this about bracconid wasps and their eggs, because it's often, I think especially with newer gardeners, people who haven't seen this before, when you see this for the first time, it can be a little bit alarming. But if you've ever had these worms come along. You know what they are. They can rip down your tomato plants in a matter of a few hours. But there are these braconid wasps that come in and they lay their eggs inside these hornworms. And then the eggs grow inside the worms, eventually taking over, killing the host. And then what you see on the outside, these little guys are going to eventually transform into or turn into those wasps. And it does look kind of gross. I don't disagree. But you know what? People use these wasps as a form of pest control because you don't use pesticides in this case. They're naturally producing, and there are actually plants that you can plant to attract this type of wasp. But I will say this: it is quite alarming. Here, I will pull this up. Chill Lil says, freaked me out the first time I saw these on the hornworms. Now I wish all the worms had them. Yeah, at this point, the worms are dead, basically. I would agree with you. The first time I saw it, I had no idea what was going on. But I will also say this. It is very good to have this instead of having the worms going around ripping down your tomatoes. I still remember, this was probably 3 years ago. We had hornworms, the first time we had to deal with them on our tomato plants. And I came out the morning after, everything looked beautiful. Everything was healthy. The morning after, the plant was basically cut in half. It was absolutely awful. Oh, Elaine says she looked it up and it's Trombocino squash. There you go. That was that really long squash. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time to look that up for us, Elaine. We appreciate it. All right. You should know by now that if we're going to do a giveaway, we're going to do our best to try to make sure that that giveaway includes more than just the one thing that we advertise. We try our best. We don't always have the opportunity to give away too much, but to start our giveaway today, we are going to give away a $10 Amazon gift card. Now, the first thing you should know, hopefully that makes you a little bit excited. Go ahead and hit a thumbs up if you haven't done that already. The first thing you should know about the Amazon gift card is if you win the Amazon gift card, you will still be in the running for the GreenStalk garden, the seed starter kit. That's not going to be a problem. So don't worry about that. It's not like you're going to get the $10 and then be ruled out. So don't worry about that at all. But we wanted to add this little piece in. So give us a thumbs up if you're excited to get started with some giveaways tonight. After this giveaway, we're going to move into the indoor garden setups. Yeah, that's it. We're going to move to the indoor garden setups, but we're going to start with this $10 Amazon gift card. I have just checked to make sure that as many people as have filled out the form are in, and we are up to 91 people who are entered into our giveaway. 91 people. That's fantastic. There is one more thing you have to remember. 91 people are entered, but you have to be here to win. So when I spin the wheel and when your name comes up, please say, I'm here in the chat. I'll keep an eye out for it. If we don't see you here, I'll have to spin it again. All right? So I hope you're excited. We're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. Well, let me just check one more time. Yep, everybody, the number is 91. Our first $10 giveaway. Here we go. Let's see who our first giveaway winner is. We're slowing. It is going to be... Oh, wow, Cheryl. Cheryl from Guam, U.S. territory. Cheryl said, I don't know if GreenStalk ships to Guam. And I said, well, if GreenStalk, I know GreenStalk doesn't, but if you win, then we'll send you an Amazon gift card. Well, you just won a $10 Amazon gift card anyway. So I know Cheryl was in the chat. Cheryl, if you're still here in the chat, please go ahead and say, I'm here. I know you were. Yes, you are here. I love it. So Cheryl, congratulations. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have everyone who wins tonight go ahead and send an email to me. I can always reach out as well, but I love it when you send an email to me. And quite frankly, I'm going to post it here in the comments. I enjoy hearing your emails or getting your emails anyway. And so if you win tonight, please go ahead and email me, gutengardening@gmail.com, and let me know what it is you've won. I'll obviously have a record of it as well, but I'm laying that out there. And anytime you want to send us an email, pictures of your indoor garden, outdoor garden, we'd love to see it. I love the idea of sharing like we've been doing with people. And so we're going to keep doing that as well. So Cheryl, congratulations on winning our first giveaway tonight. All right, I'm going to go back and I'm not going to remove, because as I said, if you win, that's great. That's great that you've won. It does not remove you from the possibility of winning more. All right, here we go. We're moving to the indoor garden setup. And our first person who shared photos with me is Anne. So Anne, thank you so much for sharing photos. And Anne says, most of my seeds were planted using the double cup method. And for those of you who don't know what the double cup method is, I'm going to explain it here in just a second. But let's move on just a little bit so we can see some of what this entails. So Anne says this: I have a bunch of cuttings taken from the outdoor herb garden, including fig branches and ornamental plants. I hope they will all take root. Now, Anne, if you're in the chat, oh, there you are. Anne says, I forgot I sent a photo. Well, you certainly did, Anne, and I got your photo. I had never seen, and this may speak poorly of me, but I had never seen the type of hanging plant propagation setup that you have here on the right. And so I thought, I actually looked it up. I don't know if yours is the high indoor wall hanging planter terrarium, but that's what I found that looks the most similar. I really like this hanging propagation setup. So you got it from Amazon, and that's where I found it, Ann. I found one like it on Amazon. There are a couple of different options, but I like this a lot. One of the things that I find is that plant propagation can be a little bit difficult in terms of the space that it takes up and not knocking stuff over and all that. This makes it so easy. I really love this setup. Yeah, this got test tubes. Basically, the one I found is a little bit smaller. It only had 8. This one has 10 test tubes that you can then also see the root development really easily. So I think a couple of things. One, it's not that expensive. The one I found isn't all that expensive, but also you can almost make something like this yourself now that the idea is there. So for those of you looking to do some propagation, I think this is a fantastic. Oh, yours is 3-tier. Anne says it's 15, so I just couldn't see the bottom tier very well. So there are 3 tiers for plant propagation. That's fantastic. I absolutely love that. So that's the first piece of inspiration, like right off the bat from this. Okay, I planted lettuces, kale, bok choy, chard, parsley, basil, chives, and cilantro to eat during the fall and winter. I also sowed perennial flower seeds that are cold hardy. So let's take a look at this. I talk about garden inspiration. What do you notice about what you're seeing here? What are you noticing about the growing, the containers for growing? Let me know in the chat what you're noticing about this. I absolutely love this, what I'm seeing here. One of the things that we've talked about in the past is repurposing. There are so many different types of containers that these plants are growing in. Yeah, this like recycling, upcycling, and you're going to see even more of that here in a second. But the creativity, using regular items. Tammy says she uses what she has. That's one of the things that you learn to do, I think, as a gardener, is you repurpose. You repurpose and you come up with things that are going to work really well. And Charlie, the other thing I noticed about this too, all of these containers bring so many different colors. So you get plants with different colors, the containers with different colors. And I can't imagine that you see something like this in your indoors. It has to brighten your day. Has to, right? All right, let's take a look. Additional plants include kaffir lime, grown from seed last year. So I'm guessing the kaffir lime is going to take maybe, I don't know, if it's like other limes, maybe 3 to 5 years, something like that. It'll take a little while, but that's awesome. Tomato plant cuttings from outdoors, Beijing grass plants that a friend gave us, and my older daughter would really approve of this one. Jars of little cacti. I cover the plants with tulle in case of gnats. Now, there's another bit of inspiration for you, too. If the other stuff wasn't already inspiring for ideas, tulle makes sense. It's not very expensive, and you can see it here. You see it in the previous photo as well, but you see it here, the tulle over, especially if you have a problem with gnats. Gnats can be so annoying. It's for so many reasons, but they're so annoying. It seems like they spread super quickly. And so I love the idea of tulle, again, as something that's not that expensive, something that is, you can still see your plants through it. And anyway, I love this idea so much. Now, I mentioned all the way back here, I'm going to go back in time, and said most of my seeds were planted using the double cup method. All right, so we come to this picture. Can you see it? Can you see the double cup method? The double cup method is very simple. You take 1 cup, a plastic cup of some kind usually, you put some holes in the bottom of it, put some potting soil, plant your seeds in it, and then place a second cup to catch the water underneath. And if you catch the water underneath, then that means that the plant on the top isn't going to be sitting there. You're not going to waterlog the roots. You're not going to kill it typically. So it actually makes it easier to grow and water in a way that doesn't harm your plants, which is fantastic. Very easy way to start seeds. One that we haven't experimented with too much, but I've done some research into. And the key is making sure you have 2 cups that can nestle into each other. And if you take a look at this, look at what you see here. I love this, reusing, repurposing. I see some Wendy's, I see some KFC, I see lots of different plastic cups, and everything I see looks healthy. Now, I've heard this as well. Putting some pebbles in the bottom for some additional space, that makes sense to me, especially if you want a little bit more drainage. If things are really compact together, there's very little space, then there's not going to be that much drainage. I want to say I watched a video recently where the gardener was talking about how you could almost do a kind of hydroponic, a closed system hydroponic setup with this, not really Kratky, but basically by adding the pebbles there and watering with some water that has whatever liquid fertilizer, et cetera, in the bottom. And as the plant gets bigger, the roots can feed off of that, which I think sounds really, really cool. So I like the idea of putting some water in the bottom of that. But again, using what you have, reusing, upcycling, you've got tulle, you've got a really great setup. And I love this. Well, I'm a current teacher, so I know what you mean. I'm a retired teacher trying not to spend so much money. I use what I have for sure. Absolutely. Why not? You can always go back to this live stream as well, by the way, and find different photos. If you think, oh, there was something I saw that I really wanted to try, you can go back to the live stream, look back through it, and see what's there. This is just another great opportunity to refresh in your mind exactly what's been shown today. So let me look at a couple of the comments here. I never thought about using tulle indoors. I use it outside to keep cabbage moths off my plants. Absolutely fantastic way to keep cabbage moths off your plant. I agree. Vivian says, we use marbles from the dollar store for extra space. Why not? Those will settle nicely. And then you get a nice consistent layer too. So marbles can be incredibly useful. I use plastic coffee containers for indoors. Absolutely. Why not? Think about the size of the container, knowing that a lot of those plastic containers, and you're going to see some of that a little bit later here too. A lot of those plastic containers, they should be food safe if food came in them. And so why not use them instead of sending them out? Use them more than once. It extends the life of them because the plastic's there. You extend the life a little bit, make it less wasteful. That's fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing those photos. I absolutely love it. Say thank you, please, if you would, to Anne in the chat for sharing these amazing photos. Oh, and I didn't even point this out. Welcome to our garden. I love the sign too. So again, say thank you to Ann in the chat. We would really appreciate that. And again, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this. One of the things that I know is that our ability to share your photos with the community is one of the most enjoyable things that I get to do on this channel. It's only the second time I've done it, but I'd like to make this a regular part of live streams in the future, as we do this more often, because I think, again, we get to choose what we share with you. You see our stuff all the time, but it's really nice, in my opinion, to be able to share your work with other people, because you definitely have some ideas. I mean, the tulle indoors, that's an idea that most people probably haven't thought of. So definitely continue to share your photos, and we'll see what we can do with more in the future. All right. Tim in Zone 7A. Tim, I actually included a question that Tim asked. And Tim, if you're in the chat, you can let us know. Tim included some photos of plants in his greenhouse. So Tim's in Zone 7A, and he asked a question. I have a question. How do you keep your greenhouse, if you have one, heated in the winter? At this point, I am contemplating investing in a heater for the winter. You're looking for, Twilight, you're looking for the link to the form. I will paste that real quick, and then I want to go ahead and answer this question. So give me 1 second. I will post the link to the giveaway form. Here you go. There you are. I knew you were here. I thought you were here, Tim. Thank you. I thought I saw you earlier. Oops, that's the wrong person. There you go. Tim, so I don't have an outdoor greenhouse. We do have the indoor greenhouse, so I obviously don't have to worry about heating there. But we initially tried putting our indoor grow tent out in our garage just to see what we could do over the winter. We did that for a couple of weeks, but we couldn't, even in our garage, even with the lights on, we couldn't get it to a good consistent temperature. And I think if we were actually doing something outside, I mean, right now is 10 degrees Fahrenheit outside, I would definitely have to have some sort of heater. And honestly, when you see Tim's greenhouse, and you won't be able to see the whole thing here, but when you see Tim's greenhouse, this is beautiful. It's rustic. It's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. But I wanted to ask the community who's here right now, who might actually have this, what they think and their opinion about a heater. And I Want to Believe says, I have a space heater and I have a 100-foot cord that I plug inside. Excellent. And I'm curious, I Want to Believe, is it difficult to keep things at a consistent temperature? That would be my main question. So let us know in the chat. If you have an outdoor greenhouse and you have a heater, or you need a heater, what do you typically use? So let us know in the chat. I'm going to show you Tim's photos, and you can kind of see a bit of what Tim's working with here. It's absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite things here, it's in the left-hand picture. And I could be wrong, but I think you have like a magnetic strip at the top. Is that a magnetic strip there, Tim, where you've got your tools attached? If that's what that's just so simple and so perfect and so creative. Just a magnetic bar placed somewhere. And I started thinking about how that could be useful even outside of a greenhouse. Just having that little piece there, a place that you can just attach your tools as you're going. I could be wrong about what that is, but that's what it looks like to me. I'm going to read through some of the comments here. Yep, one on both the right and left. That's what I thought. I absolutely love that. It's such a simple thing, but it makes so much sense. How often do I should be better about this, but I'll sit there, I'll put down my spade, I'll put down whatever I'm working with, and then I'm trying to figure out what I've just done. 5 minutes later, this is a great idea. Absolutely great idea. I'm going to go ahead. Yes, thank you so much for sharing is what I put on this one, but I'm going to go ahead and see what some of the comments here. So we have, Anne says, I leave my greenhouse unheated in the winter. I grow only cold weather seedlings and plants, and one of my GreenStalks, the greenhouse is on our deck. JNL List says, I have a 25 by 25 greenhouse. I use a 30,000 BTU buddy heater. I grow citrus and only keep it on 1 to 1.5, very economical. So it looks like it's on low, and the only thing I worry about is it getting too hot. Yeah, it looks like that might be the way to go, and people have some pretty good experience here. I have an outdoor greenhouse in Pennsylvania. I use an electric heater and a propane heater both, and they do a great job. My greenhouse is a 10 by 12, and I'm not sure how big yours is, Tim, but I pictured it about the same size there. I have an electric heater set to 50 degrees, but gets warmer with the day's sunlight. I do have an issue with humidity as it gets very dry as it gets very dry. So you have to have a humidifier for it. I wondered about that. I wondered about the humidity. That would be my question too, because the heater is just going to seem like it would suck the moisture out of the air. But that's a really great point. And I agree with you. I love the idea of the magnet strips. So these little pieces, again, are bringing it to it. I hope that helps answer some of your question about maybe it's worthwhile. I might suggest that you even chat with some of the people in the chat, Tim, just to see if, see what their thoughts are, especially about the humidity. Oh, okay. Tim says, I had recently invested a Mr. Buddy heater with a propane tank. Keeps it now at about 60 at night when it's about 20 degrees outside. That sounds perfect. Have you had any problem with humidity? Do you have a humidifier going? I don't know if you even check the humidity as you're going through. That might be something to look at, to invest into, just to see. Let's say thank you again to Tim for sharing these pictures. Made me a little bit jealous there with that greenhouse. I absolutely love the look of it. I love that color too, by the way. It looks like May has the same one. No humidifier yet from Tim, but maybe that's something in the future. So thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate it. Dustin, if you're here in the chat, let us know. Dustin shared 2 photos, and I love these photos. Here's what Dustin said. I'm currently growing quick snack cucumbers, and the flowers are for my granddaughter and me to work arts and crafts. They are Phlox Twinkies, Phlox Twinkles dwarf mix. Well, let's take a look at these pictures. Those cucumbers, those snack cucumbers, looking fantastic. And the phlox are beautiful. I am sure your granddaughter appreciates your efforts. So I looked up phlox very briefly, and it seems like phlox is symbolic of love and friendship. That's what I've heard. So there you go. It's a wonderful flower to have. I think this variety of phlox is more beautiful than most of the other varieties I've seen, and I think phlox are very beautiful. So really well done. And the cucumbers are loaded down and developing. And of course, these pictures are from a little while ago too, so it's possible these have developed even more. Those cucumbers are amazing. I love seeing the flower on the end before it's come off, before it's all dried up and everything. So you see that process. Look at the various stages of the cucumber development. Isn't that beautiful? Anyway, I appreciate your sharing that with us. So let's say thank you to Dustin for sharing these photos from the indoor garden. I consider that to be incredibly beautiful and well done as well. So thank you so much. We have 78 people in the chat right now, or 78 people watching the live, and I don't think everybody has said anything in the chat. So if you haven't checked in the chat, go ahead and leave a message for us. We would love to know who's here if you haven't already messaged. One of the cool things about being a part of a gardening community like this is that people are willing to talk and people are willing to share their thoughts and their experiences, just like what we've seen here. All right, I've gone ahead and updated our wheel too, because we're up to 98 people who are entered into our giveaway. Patrice. Now, Patrice is in Zone 7A, Indiana. And one of the things that I know about the willingness of people to share their photos is that, I'm going to say this from my point of view. When you open up other people to seeing your photos, you're sitting there saying to yourself, this is the hard work that I've done to get to this point. I've had to take whatever space I have. And if we're talking about indoor gardening, most of us don't have a ton of space. And I'm going to get the opportunity, though, to show how I've maximized my space. And Patrice is a phenomenal example of this. Let's take a look at what Patrice has shared. I have 2 growing areas inside. Now, Patrice says she does not have a basement. I have a seed starting area in my kitchen where I start almost all my seedlings, and I have a grow tent in my bedroom. I don't have a basement or extra room, so bedroom it is. I love that. I love it so much. In the grow tent, I'm growing collards. I have harvested some for my Christmas dinner, which sounds amazing to me. I am growing in my greenhouse collards, kales, beets, radishes, etc. And my adult daughter got me a second greenhouse, so that'll be going up soon. Yeah, you know what? This is interesting to me. The number of people from Zone 7 willing to share their gardens right now. That's a good point, Sheila. I hadn't even thought about that as we were going through. A lot of Zone 7s. All right, so here's what I love. You don't have a ton of space, but you make space for the things that matter. I want to show something that I noticed as I was looking through these photos. The photo on the left, because I have the same seed starting kit as well, the same trays. On the right, look outside the window. You see the green grass there? I want you to keep that in mind as we do this. But here's what I like too. Actually, I'm going to show you the shelf here, a simple shelf. You see hanging down from the shelf, we have some grow lights over top of some seedlings. One of the cool things a simple shelf does is it brings in the vertical gardening aspect, because now you're hanging lights from the bottom of a shelf and then you're able to grow on top of it. So you've doubled up what you're able to do with a simple single little piece of wood or whatever you're using as a shelf. And you know we've talked about these, and I guarantee you, as soon as you saw the color of these buckets, most of you probably knew where these buckets were from. You wouldn't have even had to see the Home Depot sign on the side to know these buckets, right? These beautiful 5-gallon buckets with some color greens in there. You can actually see off to the right-hand side where some have been harvested. I love that. Love the color greens growing in buckets. You know we're big fans of growing in buckets. Tomatoes and a few other seedlings here. You know, one of the cool things about the seedlings as they're just getting started, they look so frail. Like, you sit there and you think to yourself, I'm starting these things indoors. How is it possible they're going to turn into these massive, like these are tomato plants, these massive, vibrant tomato plants in just a few short months? But they are. All right, so do you see what I saw when I went from one picture to the next? I'm going to go back, look out the window on the right. You all been talking about it all evening. Look out the window on the right now. Oh, man. The snow is real. The snow is real right outside the door, right outside the window. But hey, you know, as I was looking through this photo, I was thinking to myself, those plants don't care about that snow. They've got all the light they need. They've got all the warmth they need. One of the benefits, one of the absolute benefits of growing indoors is that outside stuff, it doesn't matter. Let's see what we got here. My grow op is in my son's bedroom. I can now get started for this coming growing season, as he has just gone back to Vancouver and the room is free again. That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Wow. Well, I love this photo. This is the same shot as before, so you can see a little bit better, I think, that shelf and how it's just really helped to maximize the space. You see the plants growing up top and the plants here in the bottom. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And of course, now we're going to go ahead and do a second gift card here. I'm going to go ahead and post the link one more time in the chat. I think we've got most people. We're up to 85 people here on the live. I think we got most people signed up. 98 people so far signed up for the giveaway. I'm just going to wait 1 second before I do this second giveaway. If you are enjoying seeing these gardens, outdoor, indoor, all of that, go ahead and give us the thumbs up. I'm watching through the streaming software that I'm using, so I'm not watching on YouTube. I don't know how many of you have hit the like button, but I'll tell you this. I'm liking this. I'm liking the experience. I'm liking watching the chat off to the right. And I know I can't read all of your chats off to the right, but I'm still enjoying it. And yes, I forgot to say thank you to our last share. I'm so sorry that I forgot to do that. So we're going to go back and say, Patrice, thank you so much for sharing. Folks, go ahead and tell Patrice thank you if you haven't already. Tell her thank you for sharing. As we're going to go ahead and get into, I'm going to check one more time and see if we have any new people. We are at 98. 98 it is. So we're going to go ahead and give away another $10 Amazon gift card. Now, even though I said you won't be eliminated from winning the final prize, if you try, I only let one person win each $10 gift card. Does that make sense? I'm not going to go ahead and make the same person win two. So only one time winning each of the $10 gift cards, but we're going to go ahead and see who our second winner is today. Our second gift card winner is, here we go. Wow, can you believe it? 51 minutes into this chat, into the conversation. I'm enjoying this so much. Our second winner is Missy Royer, and I know you were here at least a few minutes ago. So Missy, congratulations. Folks, say congratulations to Missy, please. And Missy, say I'm here if you are here. Say I'm here if you're here, please. That's so fantastic. Missy, I have seen your name for quite a long time on our channel. And in fact, that makes me realize right now that I should definitely send a huge thank you to those who are members on our channel. And our members currently are Len Bemis, Garden Gal, Jennifer, and Sabby Jones. We really, really appreciate our members on our channel. If you're interested, we'll always leave that opportunity for you to become a member. And it's just another way of supporting us. Excuse me. And I will put a link here in the chat if you'd like to be a member. Now, Missy, I know, there you are. I know I saw you here. Missy says, thank you, I'm here. Missy, please send us an email at gutengardening@gmail.com so that we can, again, get in contact with you. Obviously, we can email out as well, but we really appreciate your reaching out to us. And congratulations again, Missy. Wow. All right. We've had our second giveaway, our second person. I think, let's see here. I'm just going to close that. So, Missy, your name's still in it for what we're going to be giving away a little bit later. Excellent. Let's move on to Steve in 7B. Now, Steve, if you're here in the chat, and I really hope you're here in the chat, this might be some of the most dynamic DIY stuff that I've seen from the photos that were sent. And yes, it is another Zone 7 garden. I didn't even notice that piece of it, truly. I don't think everybody's photos were from 7, but the ones that shared it with me said, or the ones who shared which zone they were in did say 7. That's so interesting. But Steve, if you're here, you should take some credit for this. Folks, I think you're gonna absolutely love this. Here we go. Now, I accidentally put this picture in the wrong spot, but I didn't change it, and I'll explain what it is when I get there. But here we go. Here's what Steve says. Here's my indoor grow setup that I've been using the last several years. It's a 3-foot wide wire shelf from Home Depot with 2 cheap 4-foot LED strips per shelf. I do have 3 24-watt grow spots for the lower level. All right. Now, I'm going to move to the next photo so you can see it kind of zoomed out. And it's, first of all, it's intense. It's amazing. It's packed. When you talk about somebody who has used their space to its fullest extent, this is it. But it's when you start to break it down that you understand just how much DIY is going on here. I use this year-round in Zone 7B. All the lights are fixed in the highest position with zip ties, and plants are lifted as needed for light, i.e. the top shelf tomatoes. You can't tell me that zip ties don't solve a world of problems. We use them in so many different situations. Absolutely love zip ties, 100%. Okay, the top shelf, left to right. So we're over here, left to right. We have green onions in 2 milk jug bottoms. And I know a lot of people use the milk jugs for winter sowing, and they're very useful for that. But realistically, it's number 2 plastic. It's food safe. You can grow in it. You can add depth. You cut the bottom off. You could have 5-6 inches of depth there. So the top shelf, left to right, you got green onions in 2 milk jug bottoms, 6 micro dwarf tomatoes, which are Christmas and Velma varieties. And anytime I see somebody growing with dwarf tomatoes, I always think to myself, I always want to know what varieties, because I think they're a phenomenal plant. They grow so many tomatoes in such a small, compact space. And then 4 basil plants right here, and then 2 milk jug bottoms of green onions on this side. Okay, now here are the micro dwarf tomato plants. That's at the top there. That's what was hidden. If I go back, that's what's hidden behind the black here. We'll explain that here in just a second. Beautiful plants. The black panels, here's where it gets super interesting to me. Never considered this. The black panels are DIY light shields made from cardboard, painted black on the outside and white on the inside. So the white on the inside would reflect the light, the black would absorb it. So this piece at the top and this piece here, that's cardboard along the outside. So it prevents the light from coming out at you, but it keeps the light in and reflecting back on the plant on the inside out of cardboard. That's such a good idea. The top shelf has 3/4 inch PVC painted black. That's this part right here. PVC painted black to make the light stand. The top and middle shelf have been extended left 1 foot with cheap wire kitchen baking racks cantilevered out and zip tied in place. So now this is where I messed up the photo. This is the extension using a cheap baking piece here. So this is perfect. So it's zip tied in and cantilevered out. So you have the ability, with the weight and the zip tie, you extended out your width from 3 feet to 4 feet. So you've given yourself 33% more, I guess, technically speaking, than you initially started with. So you're at about 4 foot width. So it's super easy to get that additional width without paying much more. And you could do that on each of the levels. That's such a good idea. So what do we have? We have on the middle shelf basil starts, cilantro, and solo cups. I've seen a lot of people using solo cups. Actually, the double cup method, I've seen a lot of people use solo cups for the double cup method as well. Rosemary and thyme starts, poblano pepper, and Minnesota midget cantaloupe, which I grew for the first time this year. It is so sweet. The Minnesota midget cantaloupe, tiny and delicious. Actually, I recorded a YouTube short, and I don't think I ever released it. I have to do the editing for that. All right, that is delicious. To replace the bell peppers, more basil, 3 milk jugs of romaine and butter crunch lettuce, because who doesn't love a good salad during the winter, and more cilantro in solo cups. And then on the bottom, we have the Meyer lemon, key lime, and 2 bell pepper plants. Absolutely wonderful job creating a space that could go anywhere, in a corner anywhere. And you don't have to worry about that light coming out and really disrupting everything because of the creation of the cardboard shields. Again, the painting it black, really smart idea. Using cardboard, completely inexpensive. And if something goes wrong, water gets on it or whatever, it's not even that difficult to replace. I think this is a phenomenal setup. And I was really inspired by some of what you've done here. Folks, that is Steve in Zone 7B, I want to make sure I didn't say your name incorrectly. Steve in Zone 7B, you did a phenomenal job. I absolutely love it. Folks, go ahead and let Steve know. I don't even know if Steve's in the chat, but if Steve sees this later on, let him know that you appreciate his setup. Hopefully you got some ideas from this one, because I know I definitely did. It's so cool. You know, I sent out a request to the community saying we're going to do some indoor gardening content. I emailed a couple of times. I certainly don't want to bother people by sending out too many emails, but I asked, and people really came through for me. And I didn't know what I was going to get. I didn't know the types of setups, but then getting the chance to look over all the pictures was so cool. I started thinking left and right about all the things that I could do, seeing the way the lights are set up, etc., seeing these really cool setups. So thank you so much, Steve, for sharing. We really, really appreciate that. And then we get to move on to Marlene. Now, Marlene says, this is my current indoor garden setup. There are 2 Spider Farmer SF600 light racks. They normally have 3 levels each, but I removed 1 tray on each rack to accommodate the taller growth of some plants. And I really like this, Marlene, because I think your shelving is absolutely amazing. So let's take a look at the shelving. You can see where the shelf has been removed here to allow these broccoli and other taller plants to move up beyond where they normally would. That's such a smart idea. And that also gives a lot of flexibility to the height of your lights here as well. And I don't know where you got the shelving from. Marlene, if you're in the chat, let us know. I'm not sure where you got the shelving from, but I really like this shelving. It looks really nice and sturdy. And again, the ability to remove the shelf is such a good idea too. Marlene says, I'm currently growing broccoli. You can see that off to the left here at the bottom, those bluish green leaves, bush beans, cherry tomatoes, and small bell peppers. I'm also growing salad bowl, which is a mix of lettuces. I think you can see that right up here. Everything looks so lush and green. You also have 2 pots of yellow Wonder Alpine strawberries, which you started from seed. I think that's this over here. I can't quite tell. I think that's what this is. No blossom yet. I have 1 quick snack cucumber coming as well. You've got a lot of really awesome stuff here. And it looks like space for even more in the near future. Pretty straightforward when you think about it, but the shelving makes it, and you can see location, and I'm not going to focus in on where things are in people's houses. I don't think that that's necessarily necessary, but the fact that a lot of these are not, like ours is in our lower level, in our basement area, and an unfinished area of our basement. These are right there in different places, main level of people's houses, and they're adding so much in terms of looks, the ease of accessibility. Man, if I thought about going outside in 10-degree weather right now, if I thought about that right now, but if I could just walk into my living room and pull a couple of vegetables off, that is so much better. Yeah, she even has the fan. You see the fan right there off to the side? That's awesome. Yeah, I wonder about this too. I was thinking about trying to grow some broccoli, what that would look like. I think I've done we've done cucumbers in the past, had to do some hand pollinating with a few of the things that we've grown here. The taste was great. So I don't know. I've enjoyed anything like this. I would say, again, Marlene, let's go back here. Marlene, thank you so much for sharing this setup. I love it. I would love to know where this shelving came from. That would be a huge piece of interest to me. I think this is one of the coolest. So let's say thank you to Marlene for sharing. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I'm super excited. I'm super excited at the mixture of vegetables that you have growing in here as well. All right. Now, Elaine is our next garden. And Elaine said something, and I didn't copy it over here. Elaine said, here are some pictures of my grow tent. The lettuce isn't up in the 3-tier tower yet. She said, I'm worried about the photo. She was a little bit worried about the photo quality because of the color, because of the lights. Don't worry one bit. Elaine, if you're in the chat, let us know. I think I saw you. Yes, I know I saw you, Elaine. I see you. I see you just saying thank you to Marlene, so I know you're here. You don't have to worry about that at all. We all know, if you've grown indoors, you know that lights come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. And sometimes the lights create this beautiful bluish, pinkish, purplish color. It doesn't in any way take away from what you're about to see. Here we go. Take a look at how much is growing in here. And you can tell even through the purples and the blues, the pinks, you can tell just how happy these plants are. Yeah, that's what I said. This is what I saw. I saw a lot of this. Yeah. That was, as soon as I saw these photos, my first thought was just a whole bunch of wow. Everything is so happy. And it's loaded down and so full. Yeah, exactly. Chill wants to know how big that grow tent is. So if you would let him know, we'd appreciate that, Elaine. Can anyone tell what this plant is? It seems a little different to me. It's like I've seen it somewhere before. This plant right here. Could it be one of my favorite plants? Is that possible? Is that what that is? Oh, there's so much growing in here, so much that I love. I see the rosemary in the background here. I see some vertical gardening happening. There is proof in these photos that you can grow an enormous amount of food in smaller spaces. And I think sometimes people think about indoor gardening just for the seed starting. And I don't want it to, just isn't maybe the right word, because that sounded a little negative. Seed starting is very important. It's going to save you money in the long run. It's going to give you the benefit of creating plants that you've had control over. You know what went into them. You know what the quality is. That's phenomenal. But beyond the seed starting piece, there is so much food to be grown. There's so much food to be grown in the wintertime. There's so much possibility even in those smaller spaces. I mean, you've seen it today. I think you've seen proof of it. I said these are awesome because they are awesome. Elaine, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful photos. Folks, say thank you, please, to Elaine. I love these so much. You know, a lot of times when I record videos, I have a couple of lights that cast these kinds of colors as well in our grow tent. And I have to turn them off when I'm recording just because a purple me is kind of a weird looking me. And so, but they go right back on right afterwards. I know exactly. I really, really loved these photos. And Elaine, yeah, I know about those Dollar Tree vertical gardens as well. We've seen those. They stack up really nicely. I think they're actually better for indoors than outdoors in terms of longevity. They would last a little bit longer. The cold doesn't like them so much, but they definitely work well. So thank you so much for sharing. And that brings us to our last share of the evening. And I chose this one to go last. This is from Lisa. Lisa, if you're here, go ahead and let us know in the chat, please. I believe I see Lisa posting on here. Lisa lives in North Carolina, and she reminded me that I did say, yeah, I thought you were here, Lisa. She reminded me that I did say that those Southerners could go ahead and post their videos even though they're a little bit warmer climate. I absolutely did, because you have your own form of indoor gardening to an extent here. So my indoor gardening is mostly seed starting and a few overwintering plants which need to be protected from my dog, who thinks my lemongrass plant and brassica starts make delicious snacks. We probably do. Some stuff is looking a little worse for wear as we just got our first snow in 3 years, but it should perk back up with a bit of warmer weather. So this came from a little while ago. I'd love to know if you've had any more snow down there, but that's pretty funny. First snow in 3 years. Now, granted, we haven't had too much snow this year, but I don't know what that's like. So, all right, let's take a look. I love this. You've got, well, you'll get a description of everything that's here, but the fact that this little bit of snow has been basically a freak occurrence, and then things will recover from this is absolutely fantastic. Lisa says no more snow yet. Hopefully it stays that way for your benefit. But let's take a look at what's inside. I'm still experimenting with what works. Last year, I learned that arugula doesn't like being in the greenhouse. It bolted. Yeah, some of those leafy greens, what's the other name for arugula? Rocket? Some of those leafy greens just really don't like certain things. That's definitely a learning process. And when they bolt, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a waste unless it's something that's meant to go to seed, like our red rat tail radishes, thanks to Savvy. And although peas survived in the birdie's bed last year, it's not looking as good this year. I'll show you a photo of the birdie's bed here in just a second. The little greenhouse, which is what you're seeing the inside of in the faint distance here, and it's what you saw right here in the background. That's the little greenhouse, is a $20 buy from Aldi. Now, there are two things I want to focus in on. The first one is that most people, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think most people believe it's Aldi's when it's actually Aldi. So a lot of people talk about going to Aldi's. I've heard it, but it's Aldi. Secondly, I did not know that Aldi sold a $20 greenhouse like this one. And the fact that that's the case makes me want to go and find one, because I think that is absolutely fantastic. Do you know, or do you remember what time of year you bought that greenhouse? Because $20 for something like that is not bad at all. I Want to Believe says Aldi has some good garden deals. I go in there occasionally for other things, but I've never tried looking for gardening stuff. So it must be, yeah, it says they're seasonal. Yeah, absolutely. If they're seasonal, I'll have to keep an eye out for it. I'm always in the market for good deals. Absolutely. I have a GreenStalk on a spinner in there, and it currently fits 4 levels. I could fit 5 if I had planted something shorter in that top level. And Donna says they're great over the GreenStalk. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is phenomenal. It's a great idea. Now, you said you could probably fit 5 tiers as well, but that top tier, I can see you have some taller stuff. So here you go. This is the interior at a time where, again, it's going to be -3 here, but not there. This is what you've got growing in here. I mean, I get it. It's been hit a little bit with cold, but everything looks so good. Super healthy, really nice. And here's what you said. In the grow bags are things like Brussels sprouts, kale, collards, parsnips, garlic. That's over here. In the birdie's bed, which again you'll see in a second, is spinach, arugula, radishes, salad turnips, celery, and peas. And in the GreenStalk are various types of lettuce, bok choy, a couple different broccoli, celery. I'm experimenting to see what works best. Swiss chard, and a very sad marjoram plant. Sometimes marjoram gets sad, I think. That's probably true. That's fantastic. So here is the birdie bed off to the left. If you didn't know what a birdie bed was, I've seen these before. Several different places, several different varieties of beds similar to this, but I've heard good things about the birdie bed. I don't know what your thoughts are about the birdie bed, or if anybody else has had any experience with them, but the greens in here look wonderful. And I would say, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, that this is the perfect transition into our giveaway. Our giveaway, because we just talked about GreenStalk there. And what we're giving away is the GreenStalk Seed Starter. But before we get to that giveaway, go ahead, please, and say thank you so much to Lisa for sharing these beautiful photos from snow-deprived North Carolina. Thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate that. So phenomenal. What a great way to end that part of our evening. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed that part. we're going to transition to that seed starter kit giveaway. Actually, I'm going to pick it up because it's right beside me. I have the seed starter giveaway, which I'm going to actually be planting here. I'll move it in front of my face so you can actually see it. This is the kit that we're going to be giving away. I'll hold it above my head here. And as you look at it, you see a little bit of depth in there. That's because each of these sits, if you didn't see our review video, I hope you check it out. Each of these sits in their own little tray. And the piece that I don't have, because it's over the side, is this. I have it right here, but I didn't have it with me. This is the watering tray that goes underneath. And it turns out that it's a little bit hard to get that and me on camera at the same time. So I'm going to set this off to the side. But that is what we are giving away. Now, again, this is a picture of 4 of those kits side by side by side, but you can see the potential here. I talked about a couple of things I love about this new setup. I'm going to make myself bigger on the screen now. I talked about a couple of things that I really liked in the setup here. And one of them is this base. And the base part that I like so much is because the circles underneath, it's one of the things, it's not going to say that I struggle with it, but it's a bit of a challenge removing the seedlings every year from these trays. And that's one of the things that I like about this is the ease with which you can even use your finger to push the seedlings out. The little tiny circle, I usually end up with a little stick or something, and then it'll poke through what I'm growing. I worry about it affecting the roots of the plants, etc. I don't love that. I love this piece of it. I also love that we've got these little openings here to help air prune our roots to try to prevent some of these pieces that really would become root bound, which is something that happens as well. Now, that's a piece of it. The sturdiness of these doesn't compare to some of the other things that we've done. It is way better. I said it doesn't compare. It's better. It's sturdier. But I'm going to answer a couple of questions very quickly before we do the giveaway. I need to get this out to you so that you see it, because these were questions that came up even in the beginning of this conversation. First, one of the questions was, will this, because the plastic, especially the watering tray, because the plastic of the watering tray is a little bit thicker, will this allow for a heat mat to still get heat up to the plant? And my response to that in the initial question was that, in my mind, a heat mat, the purpose of a heat mat is to improve the temperature or increase the temperature a certain amount, maybe 10 degrees, something like that, over what the ambient temperature is. This one, I mean, the plastic is still going to eventually heat up as the heat mat is underneath it. The width of this, I'm going to bring this over. The width of this is such that I don't think one heat mat will heat the whole thing. I think you would actually need 2 based on the width, although maybe one would do it. I just don't know how consistent it would be. So that's one piece. But I reached out directly to GreenStalk and spoke to them a little bit about it. And they said they're running a test right now with regard to the heat mats, and that they're still waiting on some of the results of it. But that's a piece that they're looking into as well. And we're definitely going to do our own testing with the heat mat and see what that does for us. I think what I want to do, well, I don't want to spoil anything there, but in answer to that question, in my opinion, the heat mat would still have its effect, its intended effect, but they're running testing on that. Secondly, another question that was sent out to me was, well, are they ever going to produce one that is, instead of just 6, are they going to produce one that has 12, or a bigger version of this? And when I asked that question, she said they're still in the fairly early stages of this. This is still in the developmental stage. Not that the product isn't fully developed, but that they're coming up with new ideas all the time. And so there's a possibility that they could expand that as well. And the next part of this that's going to come out goes back to the question that happened at the beginning of this conversation, which was, is there a dome for this, a humidity dome for this? My understanding in talking with them is that there should be a humidity dome for this in the next couple of months. So probably around April, they will have, or they plan to have, a humidity dome. And so That's what I would tell you if you're questioning that piece. I do like humidity domes. I think it's helpful. I think it's helpful for a lot of reasons, but when it comes to watering, the nice thing is you can still water in the watering tray for this, and so it'll still absorb up from the bottom. And it sounds like the humidity dome will be an upcoming piece. One of the nice things about working with GreenStalk, talking to GreenStalk, communicating with them is that they've always been really good about responding and taking care of any questions that we have. So as you have questions about this type of setup, you can continue to let us know. Hopefully that answered some of your questions there. Again, hey, Dawn just said something a little bit ago, wondering why I'm not at 100,000 yet. Hopefully someday. That's a goal that we have, to get to 100K and then move on from there. One thing's for sure, though, in that journey there, we're going to do our best to give away when we can and to help bring as many people along with us and share as much as we can with as many in the community as possible. I'll ask you one last time here, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the like button, because we're about to give away this GreenStalk Seed Starter Kit. I must remind you that you must be in the chat. You must have filled out the form in order to win. Now, I do need to input one more person's name. I have to import the form one more time because I see somebody else has entered in. So we're up to 99 people. Almost 100 people have come along and entered our giveaway. We're at 99, which is fantastic. Hey, I hope you're excited for this. We are about to do the good work here. To all of you who have stayed on here this whole time, to all of you who've been part of this live stream, I hope you have enjoyed what you've seen. And I wouldn't go anywhere if I were you, just saying. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and do our giveaway here. And I think, here we go. I just need to switch over to here so we can see all 99 of us ready for this giveaway. Good luck, everybody. Without any further ado, I'm going to click the button and see who our winner is for the GreenStalk Seed Starter Kit. All right, here we go. Our winner is Steve Guarino. Steve, if you are in the chat, congratulations. If you're in the chat, let us know let us know you're here. Just say, I'm here. I think I saw your name earlier tonight. So I'll keep an eye out off to the right-hand side. And again, I would say, don't go anywhere. But anyway, Steve, if you are here, just tell me I'm here. I'm looking over at the comments right now to see. I'm just looking for I'm here. If somebody sees I'm here and I don't see it, let me know. If someone sees Steve's name in the chat, let me know. If you don't see Steve's name in the chat, sometimes this happens. We've had this happen a couple of times where people win and then they're just not in the chat. Does anybody see Steve's name in the chat, or is Steve saying I'm here? I don't want to cut it short, but I don't see Steve saying I'm here yet. I mean, it is possible that things are running just a little bit behind. Does anybody see Steve? If you see Steve, that's getting hard. It's like a tongue twister. If you see Steve, let us know. Nope. I see a lot of nopes. I see some nopes. I see no C. All right. Well, I'm going to wait 10 more seconds. And if I don't see a Steve, we're going to have to spin it again. And I'm going to click remove for Steve's name, and it looks like we're going to be spinning again. Okay, no Steve. Well, I'm so sorry, Steve. You do have to be here in order to win. Let me go ahead and check here. It looks like we're good to go. We still have 98 entries because that one is gone. All right, here we go. Let's spin again and see who our new winner is. The winner who's hopefully here in the chat. I suppose it's possible. We have 82 people here in the chat. The winner is Sue Fours. Okay, Sue, if you're in the chat, congratulations. Sue, if you're in the chat, let us know. Just say, I'm here. We would love to be able to give this away, but we need you to be there. All right, Sue, if you're in the chat, do people see Sue in the chat? I'm looking off to the right-hand side. I think you can check more than I can check, actually, to see if somebody's in the chat or not. I'm reading the right-hand side. I don't see yet. Does anybody see Sue? If you can see Sue, don't see her. Blue Wolf doesn't see Sue. Sue, this is where I'm at right now. Sue 4. So if you see the chat, if you can actually chat Sue, then normally that means that Sue is in the chat, I think, but maybe not. Maybe not. We may have to spin again. Wow, that would be some kind of a record. No, I see no Sue. All right. All right. Well, we're going to remove Sue. And believe it or not, we're going to spin again. All right. No Sue. All right. Here, I'm gonna click on this real quick. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, if you get this reference, you get this reference. That was from my younger days. All right, here we go. Our third time's the charm. I like this. It's so interesting to see this type of action happening here. Okay, we have Crimson. Now, Crimson has been a part of our channel for a long time, and Crimson actually shared some photos in the summer, if I'm not mistaken. Crimson, let's see if you're here. Missy almost got it there too. Crimson, I think, well, I'm not sure. Now, Crimson, again, has been a part of our channel for a long time. We've known that name for quite a long time. Let's see if Crimson's here. This would be an amazing example of really stick-with-itness for us. Does anybody see Crimson? That would be funny. Oh, okay. If Crimson's not here, I'll share out the link again. Here we go. Let me just take care of this. That's pretty amazing. The wheel. Well, you should be able to see Serena. Let me check and see. I'm sure I saw your name earlier. Let's see here. Mueller. Serena, I'm pretty sure I saw. Yes. See here. Well, I shared the list again just in case anybody who was not on it is on it. Yeah, Crimson's not here. All right. Well, we're going to spin again. I'm going to just check real quick and make sure you're on it. And I'm going to import the list one more time. Oh, that's really funny. All right, I'm just going to go down real quick and make sure I get the last person who just responded on the list. 1 second. Well, this has been one of those moments where you're sitting there saying, it's got to happen, right? All right, let me just go to the question, the name. All right, so the last person who got in, 83 people in the chat, 84 now. Stephanie Z. I think that's not the last person. All right, I got to go ahead and add this one more time here, so just give me 1 second. I'm actually going to hide this from the screen because it provides a little bit of personal information, and I don't want to show that while I'm doing this piece. So I'm going to import this really quickly. We'll get the last person who entered in. What I hope it doesn't do, it'd be kind of funny if it did. Oops, that is not what I meant to do. What I hope it doesn't do is accidentally put those people who I just removed. Now that would be pretty funny. Okay, let me go ahead and pull this up here really quickly. Almost there. Boom. And your names. And boom. Okay. I think what it did was go ahead and enter those names back, but I'll remember the names of the people who shouldn't be on the list anymore because they've already been removed. And don't worry about that. Here we go. Let's go ahead and spin it one more time. Wow. All right, here we go. We've got Ashley Stone. Okay. Missy Royer, you've been so close each time. Congratulations, Ashley. Is Ashley in the chat? Ashley, if you are in the chat, go ahead and let us know. Ashley, yes. There we go. Ashley is here. Yes. It's so exciting. We have Ashley. Ashley has arrived. We have a winner. Wow, that was intense. That may have been the most intense thing. Well, you know, congratulations, Ashley. Go ahead and say congratulations if you haven't already. You know, we're not going to give away just one of these. We're going to do a second giveaway. And even though it took 4 times to give away the first GreenStalk Seed Starter Kit, we're going to do a second GreenStalk Seed Starter Kit. We're going to give away 2 tonight. We like to always end as best we can on a bang, if you will. So we're going to go ahead, and if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. I hope people didn't leave already. I did mention that I wouldn't leave yet if I were you, but that's just I. All right, we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel a second time. Get a second winner out here. Here we go for our second winner. Oh man, if we have to go through 3 more, that's going to be something else. Our second winner tonight is, looks like, Susan B. Susan B, if you are here in the chat, please let us know. Susan B, congratulations. Hopefully Susan B is here. That would be fantastic. We get 2 Susan B's, and if we get a Susan B right after the other, then we'd have 2 in a row, and everything would be wonderful. Susan B, does anybody see Susan B? If Susan, oh man, I tell you, I'm. Oh, I see you. I see you, Susan. All right, fantastic. There we go. Oh, we got Susan. Everybody. Everybody who was meant to win tonight, I suppose, has won. Oh, that was a blast. Well, Susan, as always, please send out an email to me. Let me know you're one of the people who've won. gutengardening@gmail.com. Again, we can always reach out to you as well. Yeah, that was awesome. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video tonight. I hope you enjoyed our live stream. I want to do it again. Look, I always want to start this cycle of doing live streams because I enjoy them so much. I don't always want to do giveaways necessarily, but I like the idea of being able to talk with the community. And I know giveaways also help to encourage people to show up. But more than anything, I love the idea of being able to share with you some of what we're learning, and also, of course, sharing some of what other people are doing. So we'll do another trivia night in the near future. I think that'll be a piece of one of the things that we love to do. We love to do the garden trivia. But beyond that, we would love for you to share, if you would, more pictures of what you're growing, updates of what you're growing, any of the grow zones, any of the garden zones. You can share it with my email address, gutengardening@gmail.com. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here one more time. gutengardening@gmail.com. I'm going to pull that up on the screen. Email us what you have. Again, I'm not the best at responding all the time to people, but when I get your emails, I always read them. I always read everything that you all write to me, to be perfectly frank. And, you know, this could be another piece of what we do, continuing to share with other people. And I got a lot of inspiration. I got a lot of motivation. I got a lot from tonight's video. And I know for those of you on the East Coast, it's already 10 p.m. I apologize for keeping you up so late, but I hope you all had a wonderful time. I know I had a wonderful time here with everyone. I didn't get to read all your comments, but I hope you were all chatting back and forth in the chat together. One more time, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this live stream as much as I enjoyed being here with all of you. We'd love to see you all at our next live stream, and we've got some more great content coming your way in the upcoming weeks, so stay tuned for that. Hey, if you enjoyed today's live stream, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, Remember to be here with us next time. And most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. Thank you.